That was rubbish, but let's let the smells begin. So yes, good morning. It is that time of the week again. The weather is looking absolutely lovely, and we are going to do episode 3 of my latest spray off competition. If you haven't seen this, I've done 2 episodes already. Essentially what I do is I put 2 fragrances up against each other, spray them in the air, push them into my face. Whichever one's the strongest goes on my workout with me. So I'm going to go for a run, walk to the gym, do a gym workout, walk back, and essentially we'll have some competition where the winner stays on per round. So essentially what I'm going to do in a minute, I'm going to spray a fragrance, and the one that wins out of the 2 will be coming on my morning run for me. Now the surprising winner at the end of the last video was this one here, Police Extreme, a very nice blue sort of fragrance. It has that sort of same vibe as a Dior Sauvage. It doesn't smell like that one, but it certainly could be used in those same situations. I was really shocked to see that this one beat Selvigny, which is a very strong powdery vanilla type scent by Maison Tahiti. Now, I've got my box or my tray or whatever you want to call it here next to me. I'm just going to randomly pick out a fragrance, and it's going to go up against this one as well, so we will see which one comes out. Are we ready? Oh, I don't actually know what that lid is. Oh, okay. Now this is one I haven't spoken about very much. It's Jeff Banks. Yes, Jeff Banks Revive. Now, this one I bought, well, actually, my dad got it for me. This was from Home Bargains, which is a sort of discount store in the UK. Essentially, you can pick these fragrances up in the shop and spray them, and yeah, they don't seem to worry. There's no such thing as a tester in these shops, or every fragrance there is a tester. Quite a strong coconutty fragrance from the top of my mind, but it's going to go up against Police Extreme. Let's see which one wins this round. I've got a feeling this one will win this. 3, 2, 1. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. So Jeff Banks Revive. I forgot I even had this fragrance, to be honest with you. We are going to talk about it then during my run. So what I'll do, get myself all fully stretched, and we will talk about our latest winner, Jeff Banks Revive. I think I've oversprayed that a little bit. And we are off, and it is another scorcher today. It really is. Trying out my new running shoes as well, and I feel like I'm running on clouds. But we're not talking about running shoes today. We are talking, of course, about fragrances, and we are talking about Jeff Banks Revive, which won the first round of the spray off competition today. Now, this is an interesting scent, and the story behind why I have this one. My brother essentially was working with a colleague at his last job, and he noticed he had this fragrance on. He said, "Oh, what is that one?" And he said, "Oh, it's called Jeff Banks Revive. It was a cheap one I picked up in a shop called Home Bargains." And my brother's not one to normally mention sprays and particularly say how much he likes them to a stranger. He might mention if it's on me or someone, you know, he knows really well. But for a colleague who he didn't know that well, for him to go out of his way and to mention it, says he must have thought it was a good one. And my dad always shops at Home Bargains once a week just to buy some extra bits of shopping. And my brother said to him, "Oh, if you do see that one, you know, you're okay to buy it and we'll send you the money." And my dad came home with 2, so he got me one. And they were £5. So it's about £5. It does seem to be discontinued now, this one, but you can still get it on eBay, and you can still get loads of Jeff Banks fragrances in Home Bargains. And yeah, it's really all about the coconut in this one. It's a very synthetic fragrance. You do kind of get what you pay for. You know, £5 for 100ml. You can't complain, but there is a bit of complexity with this one. It's kind of marketed as a floral amber fragrance. Then you've got a bit of jasmine, you've got yang yang in there, you've got tuberose, and it ultimately is marketed for men. But those sort of floral notes in this, I think, mean you could easily pull this one off as a female as well. There's a bit of bergamot in here as well, which has a bit of spice. But of course, those notes are used in men's and women's fragrances in equal measure. Now, it's real positives with this one. Undoubtedly, is its performance. It's very strong. But it does have, and to be honest, coconut can be a little bit like this, can be a bit headache inducing on a day like today where it's quite warm. I feel like if you're doing something where you're going to warm up, this one maybe isn't the right one to go for. But if it's a slightly cooler day, again, transition season, I think this will work best, which is where I think florals work best in general. This is where it's going to be quite a good one. You know, you could easily wear this as a top-up spray in your bag, put this one in your lunch, you know, when you have your lunch break, put this one on. People are going to notice it when you go back in, because it's very loud for the first 1 to 2 hours in particular. And I think a lot of that is because it's quite harsh. It is quite synthetic, but it does feel relatively well blended. You know, it doesn't feel like anything's too overpowering or something's not kind of mixed in, you know, it feels too separate from the fragrance. It does feel pretty well blended. And yeah, ultimately what it is, I think it's just an easy to pull off everyday type of scent, particularly for those transition seasons. And I think if you're someone who's not maybe into fragrances, which I think this one will certainly work best for, this could be your signature scent. You know, you could wear this in many situations. I've worn this one on colder days. I've worn this one when I've actually dressed up a bit more, even with a shirt. So it does have some potential to be used in those situations. But I think it's going to be best used in those more casual settings, like on a sunny sort of cool spring day. Maybe if you're meeting up with friends, much more casual than anything else. And it's definitely 100% a juvenile scent, 30 and under for me. I can't imagine an old gentleman particularly wanting to rock this one. But other than that, you know, for what you're paying, it's very good. And I do like it a lot. We are back. So it is time to do the next round of the spray off competition. I do just want to give a special mention to Jeff Banks Revive. I wore this obviously during my run. Bit heavy. Maybe not quite the fragrance I particularly want to wear on my run, but it lasted. When I changed direction at the end, sort of 20 minutes before I finished, I could still smell the fragrance absolutely fine. So I think it's going to do pretty well. Might win this round as well. So let's have a go. See what we pick out. I know what this one is. I already can tell by the lid. It's this one, Zara Dystopia Ultra Glitch 004 hashtag whatever. It's a really confusing name. This is one of the weirdest fragrances I've ever bought. I bought it probably end of last year, maybe start of this year. Strawberry pastry. It's essentially got one synthetic note, and it's meant to, or one synthetic accord essentially. It's trying to make the smell of strawberry pastry cream, and it does that really well. The problem is it's almost so gourmand, it's so realistic that it fascinates me more than I really like it, I'd probably say. I really would have enjoyed it more as a 30ml bottle, but it is a fantastic fragrance in terms of perking your interest and sort of exposing me to other fragrances. So put the lid down, we'll give these a spray and we'll see which one wins. I don't really want to wear this one today because it's just far too heavy for the temperature. But it's won. There's no two ways about it. That has won really easily. So we better put this one on and we will talk about it as I walk to the gym. So yes, I will see you on the way. So to be honest, it probably doesn't help that it is actually so warm today. I'm probably not enjoying this fragrance as much as I would normally, because when I did get it, it was certainly colder, and yeah, my opinion of it was really high at first. Even when I did my review of it, what must have been 4 or 5 months ago now, I was quite complimentary of it, and I was really, really looking forward to it, because one thing you can't fault this one, it certainly smells different. But I suppose my issue with like Zara Dystopia 004 is the fact that it, when you kind of get a smell, so it's like for me, if I go to like a coffee shop or a cafe and I smell the smell of the coffee, I don't think, I want to wear that one as a fragrance. I kind of think, do you know what? Why don't we get ourselves a coffee while we're here? And I do have a fragrance, Double Espresso by Fragrance World, which is pretty much, it just smells like coffee. You could literally tip that over yourself and someone would just think you've spilled a whole load of coffee over you, rather than it actually smelling like a fragrance. And I feel a little bit like that with this one. This is like a strawberry cream pasty Zara Dystopia 004. And that smell, I really like it, and it's a mass-pleasing smell. But the feeling I get from that is, I might get a croissant or a nice sweet pastry, rather than, do you know what, I'd love to wear that as a fragrance. It just doesn't maybe have that vibe for me. And it's kind of like with certain fragrances as well, some that can be quite boozy. It's a fine line between it smelling really nice and really classy and expensive, or smelling like you've been out drinking, and it's kind of that balance that this one maybe lacks a little bit. It is quite heavy, and again, as I said, it's really warm, so maybe if it was a slightly cooler day, I'd probably prefer it a little bit more. But I just think sometimes those emotions, like I said, I love the smell of sausage and bacon cooking a fry up, but I don't think, I want to wear that one. I just think, I want to eat that food, and I think that's where this one has almost got a little bit confused. As I said, I'm a massive fan of gourmand fragrances, and this is one that I do enjoy, but I think it's just got it slightly too wrong. It's almost, if this is a way of saying it, it's almost too realistic, and I hope that makes sense. But when it comes to spray off and when it comes to competitions like this where you do want good performance, that's its biggest plus. There's no two ways about it, it certainly performs. But I'm not so sure I really want to wear this, but I do think on the spray off competition it's probably going to do quite well. It might be the first that actually goes through a few rounds. Just gone about 12:15, so about 3 hours ago I applied Ultra Glitch 004, and to be honest, it wasn't too uncomfortable during my gym workout. Look, it's still a little bit too heavy, but to be fair, the aircon was on, so it never got too much to the point I was like, I've got to change shirt or anything like that. But it is a very strong gourmand fragrance. It's one that, yeah, I've started to dislike it the more I wear it. I just wish it was a smaller bottle, because I think I'm still going to have this one in about 2 years' time, because you definitely don't want to overspray this. But it did get me thinking, if you had to pick one gourmand fragrance, or someone said to you now, name one gourmand fragrance, what would be the first one that comes up in your mind? I think for me, the first one that pops up in my mind, if you want to call it a gourmand, is probably tobacco vanille. That vanilla note in it is just so addictive. It's probably the main reason why that fragrance has been so popular over the years. Look, the tobacco is prominent in it. You do get a bit of that spiciness, but the vanilla is the selling point, and you do get what you pay for. I think sometimes with fragrances, look, as a general rule of thumb, the more expensive the fragrance, I do think the higher quality you do get, and there's always the odd one in that sort of £20 to £30 range that does exceed your expectations. But when I first smelt Tobacco Vanille by Tom Ford, that's when I knew actually there is a real step up. When you do spend that bit more, I can understand why people do pay those higher prices, because at the time before that, I wasn't really going beyond, say, £100 tops. And when you're paying £300 for a fragrance, that is quite a jump, but it is certainly justified in the case of Tobacco Vanille. When it comes to gourmands or sweeter note, that for me is the best vanilla note in perfumery. And even like a lot of the clones that are out there, none of them quite replicate the vanillic note that you do get in Tom Ford Tobacco Vanille, the original. It's very, very good. But yeah, what we're going to do, we're going to head back, I'll have something to eat, and then we'll do our final round of the spray off for this episode. Can anything take Ultra Glitch off its perch for the end of the video today? And we are back. So yes, another workout done. I have managed to do 43,230 steps this morning, all mainly while wearing this fragrance. Of course, this one was the one I wore for my gym session, and it was Jeff Banks' Revive that I also wore for my run today. So yeah, two very different fragrances. This one much more of a coconutty, more summer vibe, but it does have those sweets with the florals. This is very much all built for winter, and yeah, that strawberry cream pastry, which I haven't particularly sold it, but it certainly isn't the right time of year, and maybe that's leading to me being more critical. But we need to do a final spray off for today then. So I'm going to pick out one more fragrance from this collection. We'll see what's coming up against it. Okay, so we've got a Zara against the Zara Red Rodeo. So if you don't know this one, they've actually changed this one now. It's called Womo Winter. Pretty confusing. I don't really know why they've done that. Essentially, though, this is a strawberry-based fragrance. Very, very heavy on the strawberry. It's a very synthetic strawberry. There's actually a little bit of leather in this one, but you certainly don't detect it. It's kind of a masculine type scent with that fruity opening though, but there's certainly some like peppery spice in this as well. Good fragrance. Again, have I kind of gone off it a little bit? Maybe so, but again, it's got signature scent potential. Certainly more signature scent potential than this one. There's a bit more complexity to it, but is it going to win this round? I'm not really sure. They've both kind of got a little bit of this strawberry note in it. So yeah, really intrigued. 3, 2, 1. Easy. Easy, easy. And it's really strange this. I don't know if it's because I'm smelling the fragrances so regularly and that change is sort of making me notice them more. But every round so far, it is actually the other fragrance that's winning. I don't think there's been a fragrance so far in this spray competition that has actually stayed on around. Now, the strawberry cream pastry sort of smell from Ultra is starting to come through now. But I'm probably not too surprised in the fact this one is stronger in the opening. It's a very bright, juicy strawberry. It's quite heavy. It is quite heavy. But it's nice. This is a really, really underrated type of fragrance. And what I like about this one is it could be a really good gift idea. It's got this, again, this masculine edge, but it is quite youthful. But you could wear it in so many situations. I've worn this one at the gym. I'm not saying it's a gym fragrance at all, by the way. But spring, summer, as long as it's a cooler day, fall, winter time, it works really well. And it's just, I like the fact it's utilising a note that it's not unpopular strawberry, but to say it's the prominent note in a men's fragrance, I think that's quite surprising. It's done it really well. So I don't think you can get Red Rodeo as such now, but if you can still get Womo Winter, it's exactly the same fragrance, exactly the same. My brother's had that one, and yeah, you wouldn't notice any difference at all. But yeah, this is going to be the one then that goes into our next episode. So back at work next few days, probably will be Sunday or Mondays for 3 or 4 days time. You'll probably see the next episode of my spray off competition. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this one today, and yeah, plenty more to come. So thank you for watching. I'll catch you later.